sharpened, the claws are out, and each are poised to attack. Who will win in this rumble of the jungle? Hello, UNI Panther fans and Overwatch fans alike. Welcome to Week 6 of the PCL Central 2 Division regular season, where your 2 and 3 University of Northern Iowa Panthers from Cedar Falls, Iowa, will play against their first ever SEC opponent, the 2 and 2 Louisiana State University Tigers from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Thank you for joining us on this safari expedition into the virtual jungle. Bill is in production, Joe is in the booth, and my name is Hunter. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm pretty excited for tonight. We did see last week, UNI looked pretty good. They did have a longer series, but it was pretty entertaining. So I'm hoping that this week will be equally as entertaining.
Yeah, I completely agree. Of course, we don't talk about Game 4 from last week, but just me mentioning it maybe might be bad mojo. But should have a great game tonight. Of course, these teams very well evenly matched up. Could be anybody's game. Of course, the one interesting thing to note between these two matchups is that both teams were able to defeat Maryland. However, where it gets kind of interesting as well, both teams also lost to UNLV, so against the Rebels. However, UNI pushed them to a Game 5 situation, whereas UNLV pushed it to a Game 4. That's another interesting thing to note tonight, Joe, that I kind of am going to expect to see this series, is that the Tigers have only gone to Game 4. We've never seen the Tigers go to a Game 5. So something to think about as we go into today's matchup.
Yeah, I agree. It will be interesting if we go that far. We'll see. We've not really seen UNI close out games within 3 games yet this season. It's always gone to at least a Game 4 or Game 5. So maybe that'll work out for UNI this week. I don't know. But coming in here, the first mode that we're going to be looking at tonight is going to be control. So for the map pool for control, we're looking at Busan, we're looking at Oasis, Antarctic Peninsula, and Ilios. And of those four, you already know I want to see Ilios.
Yeah, Ilios is a really good matchup, especially if you're going to play the Lucio, which we've seen you and I play a lot before.
Hmm.
I'm a personal fan that we've seen Oasis a handful of times, and I don't hate the pick of Oasis, but just for playing devil's advocate, I would actually like to see Busan and then see Roadkill play Ramatra in Busan.
We've not seen too much of the Ramatra so far. We see mostly the Hazard picks and the Zarya picks out of Roadkill this season.
Yeah, but typically when we've seen a Flashpoint match come up, we'll see him swap to the Ramatra or the Orisa. And both circumstances, I feel like UNI does a really good job. The issue is just they don't play together as a team, and I feel like that's going to be a win condition for today. Joe is going to be, can they play together? And like we saw in the Maryland game, can they utilize their ults well and together?
Yeah, and while we're talking about important hero picks tonight, I think it's important to mention talking about that Wuyong pick with the Tidal Blast ability, his ult on any kind of engaged character or someone who can go in there, go in deep really fast. So like a Tracer triple blink with the Wuyong ult is really, really hard to beat. The Genji slash with the Wuyong ult is also really hard to beat. So as we start looking at bans for this series and start looking at picks, it's going to be interesting to see which teams will prioritize that. If LSU prioritizes that at all, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. We know UNI will likely try to do that at least once this series. I don't know. It should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I would almost like to think that going into any matchup, the insta ban is going to be Wu Young or Tracer. I feel like you and I really can't combat against that dive composition, and especially when you get the Tidal Blast and the triple blink, it's almost like game over in that situation. We've seen that play very well against you and I. So I would fully expect to see a Wu Young ban come out.
Yeah, and you know, we do see Unlasting play a lot of Genji, so I'm expecting to see that in at least a couple of the games. But moving on here, it looks like we're gonna go and have Oasis for this first map, and it looks like LSU are gonna ban Hazard for their first hero ban, and I'm gonna just take a second to talk about the hero ban process in these games. The rules on it have been debated a little bit throughout the weeks, but pretty much, I'm pretty sure it is just both teams can ban one hero for like a game, and then nobody that team can't ban that hero again for the rest of the series. So if game one UNI bans Ashe and LSU bans Hazard, then LSU can't ban Hazard again, but they could ban Ashe later, and vice versa for UNI. So should be cool.
Yeah, and if I'm UNI in this situation here, of course, uh, with the pick of Oasis, I would almost want to see a Wu Young ban. I don't know about you. Sorry, I feel like I interrupted you mid
No.
thought.
No, I was pretty much done with that thought, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Wu Young ban now, or when they go to the escort maps, or sorry, when they go to the hybrid maps next game. We've seen Wu Young and a dive character get a lot of value in those, because you know, the hybrid maps that they're allowed to pick are Numbani, Kings Row, Midtown, and Hollywood. And I know we're not there yet, but with those maps and their choke points and their sight lines, having that Wu Yang ult and a dive character be able to go in there and disrupt the flow really helps people push through those tricky choke points. And the same way, it helps people push through the choke points in the control maps like Oasis. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that coming out from later. But it looks like we're going in here. I did not see who UNI banned.
We banned Ana.
Oh, okay.
What are your thoughts on a ban?
In control, I don't know that I kind of don't know that I like that. I kind of don't know that I like an Ana ban on control, but maybe somebody on LSU plays a nasty Ana and you and I don't want to deal with it. But we'll see. Coming out for game one here, UNI's lineup is going to be Roadkill, Brookbear, Mako, Unlasting, and Matahuski. And then LSU's lineup is going to be Padunda, I think is how you say that, Isaac Man, Shawnee, and Blue Jay Cam, and Sidero.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what these teams are going to come out with. Of course, LSU, being a strong, SEC team, does have that athletic money. I do believe I was talking with somebody thinking that I think this is the one team in the division that has scholarship funds for their players. I'm not entirely sure. Do not quote me on that. That is just rumors. I maybe shouldn't have mentioned it on the podcast or on the stream today, but here we go. We are underway, and I really like this Zarya pick and Unlasting on the Genji. Matahuski, though, on the Sojourn. Interesting pick.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see how it goes here. Roadkill has a tendency to get the Graviton Surge up pretty quick here. I can be throwing a barrier out on the teammate to protect them. Both teams just kind of poking right now. You got to watch out for that Freya damage, Hunter. You really get exploded.
Yeah, that's
really
another
quickly.
Interesting thing that I was kind of thinking about, too, is not banning Freya at all, especially on a control map like Oasis, because of the verticality that you have in her kit. But nonetheless, here we go, and the first ticks go to the Tigers.
Yeah, and while we were talking about that Freya, they did pick up a quick pick onto Matahuski there, and LSU were able to cap that point. UNI going to be holding in the street here, a little bit split up as Sidero gets picked up by Unlasting.
Yeah, I really do like that pick for UNI, and of course LSU's kind of playing all around the map, so if UNI can go ahead, coordinate as they go ahead and get this point, I feel like they would do a really good job at sort of kind of steamrolling here once you get the first pick. But here we go. UNI is going to go ahead, move up to the choke point of this first point in Oasis.
Yeah, Padunda on the ball is doing a great job so far this game, kind of disrupting, but also not dying. He's going to be going in here for a slam on two members of UNI. The shield coming out from Roadkill, going to be protecting his team. Meanwhile, Unlasting diving in there, dashing, almost getting the Kiriko, but she swift steps out of there and is going to live the fight again. Here comes a Pulse Bomb. No value.
Yeah, doesn't find value, but Blue Jay Cam able to pick up Matahuski, but Unlasting able to pick up Isaac Man. And UNI so far winning the battle as Unlasting able to pick one and Brookbear able to pick up another one as well. So UNI so far being good with the staggers and kind of the kill confirms options here as 45% takes over.
Yeah, UNI looking pretty solid here, holding this corner. We do 3 ults ready to work with. Roadkill's Graviton Surge is almost ready to go, but we got to watch out for Badunda's Wrecking Ball ult. But Shawnee getting picked off right before the fight starts. Got to be careful of that one.
And I really do like where Matahuski's setting up with a nice grab. Coming out, able to go ahead and take out Padunda. And UNI back on the attack here. Already with the point ticked over, 71%.
Yeah, good ult economy. Oh my goodness, and Frey's going to be going off the map, exploring down there what's down below.
Tactical
UNI, yeah, I think that's going to be kind of devastating for their push here. It's going to be all up to Badunda with this Wrecking Ball ult. He's kind of rolling, waiting for his team to group up. I like the thought process and the positioning here. Here comes the engage. Huge ult from everybody. Kitsune Rush coming out for LSU and a beat coming out for LSU, but Unlasting's Blade is not going to get a lot of value. Badunda finding a pick onto Roadkill, turning it into a 4v5, a 3v5 in favor of LSU. Wuyong ult coming out for UNI, kind of just helping people survive at this point. Matahuski in a little battle with Blue Jay Cam, but Unlasting going to find a cheeky deflect kill onto Sidero in the meantime. Matahuski's got to get out of there, but he can't. Blue Jay Cam and Lucio beat him up. And LSU are going to take the point just like that.
Yeah, the one thing that I really like from LSU's engage there is they go ahead and initiate with the Padunda ult there on the Wrecking Ball, and then you initiate with Kitsune Rush, and UNI kind of has to battle at 2 different sides. I didn't really like the Mako going into that end of the fight with Tidal Blast, but I feel like UNI could still come back from this. You still have Brookbear Kitsune Rush to initiate. You still have 50% left to charge on the LSU side, so you still got some time. Ooh. As Unlasting able to go ahead get a pickup on Isaac Man, but unfortunately Greed gets the best of him and goes down. But Mako able to take out Shawnee. And here's the Kitsune Rush now for UNI. As Padunda trying to survive with just a couple HP left, but off screen, Brookbear able to go ahead and pick up Sidero. And as overtime ticks over, LSU will go ahead and get a touch just to keep them barely alive, but currently both teams are split.
Oof. Okay,
really
both
nice
Freya
move.
ults coming out here. Only UNI's found value though, as Unlasting Roadkill and Unlasting just killing everybody on LSU right now. Okay.
Yeah, that's
yeah?
I was gonna say that is the one thing that we haven't said, at least for that first point, is that UNI Roadkill and Unlasting didn't really do all too much theatrics until the clutch there at the end, but there we go.
Yeah, I needed to point out, for LSU's retake when UNI was at 99%, it looked really good and they were able to execute completely. But I think what ended up shooting them in the foot a little bit is that they used the Wrecking Ball ult, the Lucio ult, the Kiriko ult, and I think they may have used one other ult in that engage. And you know, you got to be careful with the ult economy in this, and we know UNI is really, really good and careful with that. We saw Roadkill just solo ult the ball like a minute prior, and nobody else used ults, and it was pretty good. So UNI are going to go with a little bit of a Symmetra comp to get out of the doors here, and I like that.
Yeah, the Simcom for LSU's really good classic play. And exactly, and you get to fight from the high ground, which is also very important in a game like Overwatch. And with Shanzi, with the Reaper, love this counter pick kind of into the squishies of UNI.
I think it is interesting. I may have misspoke a minute ago and said that UNI sim comped in there. My bad. It was definitely LSU. The lamp already going to be coming out from Sidero. UNI applying pressure. I like it, but Blue Jay Cam also applying the pressure, diving the backline, but it's not good enough because Unlasting is watching. It's a 1-for-1 right now as Matahuski also goes down. 4v4 on the point with LSU having the cap. It's ticking up for them, up to 20% now.
Oh, big pick there by Brookbear. Shawnee going down, and 100% charge Zarya, and Unlasting in the backfield again. You have to deal with that lamp, and I feel like UNI is doing a great job at making LSU utilize all of their support resources even before the team fight starts.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now as LSU is trying to push onto the point. they are able to push UNI back. Shawnee finding that pick on a roadkill. Rookbear also going down to Shawnee. This guy is a beast on the Reaper as Padunda finds a pick on Unlasting. UNI are going to have to regroup here and look for a solid retake as a team. Kind of just stem the trickling, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to come down to the stagger. Of course, you know, the very critical play last time was when a Blue Jay kind of fell off and kind of initiated their own little stagger, which I think lost
A
them
blade
the
coming
first
out from
point.
Unlasting right now, and a grab coming out. It's huge, Hunter, as that is a team kill in the course of like 2 seconds. Great work, UNI.
My goodness, someone called the cleaners because that was nasty.
Yeah.
Just a really great play there by Unlasting. And that's exactly what we mentioned in the pregame, Joe. UNI has to coordinate their ultimates. They do. Able to go ahead, get the team kill, and start ticking it up 34%.
Yeah, but the UNI have to be careful because they got to beat a window and a Death Blossom to play against right now, especially as the Freya ult comes out for UNI. Okay, here comes the Mako's ult and the Isaac's ult at the same time, both teams. And a window coming out for LSU.
Yeah, UNI is going to get separated here as Sidero is going to take out Roadkill. Matahuski goes down as well. Of course, Unlasting trying his best as Brooksbear has to use the Suzu to get out of there. And I feel like that's the win condition here for UNI, Joe, is that they got to play together because LSU is doing a great job at dividing and conquering at this moment.
Yeah, they are. I have noticed that actually in the first round too. LSU seems to feel pretty okay with playing in a split way, and just from what I've seen in games previous, UNI has a little bit more trouble with the split play, like the 2-3 or the 1-4. You know what I mean? Okay, Death Blossom coming out from Shawnee, but Roadkill does once none of it. He puts him down. Blue Jay Cam going to be frontlining for LSU, finding the back line. Here comes a Pulse Bomb, maybe? Yep, it's the Pulse Bomb. There goes Mako. Meanwhile, Sidero finds a pick on Brookbear, and Unlasting's going to try to trade one onto Isaac, man. He's got to get through that, the Frisbee, but he does end up going down to Padunda. It is that Zarya v Zarya deadly matchup now as LSU comes out on top in round 2.
Yeah, I feel like LSU kind of knows what they need to do to win, and the first thing is to separate UNI. Yeah, you can go ahead and give up a couple team fights. Of course, UNI had some really well-executed plays, especially towards the beginning of that round. However, I feel like LSU did a really great job at initiating and separating UNI, and if UNI even just lacks in just a little bit of communication, LSU is going to go ahead, target them down, and take them out one by one. Really great job by the Tigers here.
Yep, I think going into this round 3, LSU, they've got that Zarya pick. I feel like every time anybody in a game goes Zarya, it is just a matter of time until another Zarya comes out to counter. So I think they're keeping that in mind. I think they got to keep Unlasting's Genji in mind a little bit. And I think UNI... Okay, so Blue Jay Cam is not on the Tracer right now. I was going to say maybe they keep that in mind, but we'll see.
No, but I do find it interesting how Sero is still going with the Baptiste, which I don't hate that pick, especially when you're in this little courtyard area. But we'll see if that's going to continue to add value for the Tigers. As Mako able to go ahead, take out Isaac Man, forces out the lamp, and UNI going to try and press the advantage here as Roadkill able to take out Sero.
Yeah, I like Mako getting that opening pick onto the enemy Lucio. Isaac Man won that Lucio battle with a sound wave to the face. Very nice.
Yeah.
As UNI are gonna go ahead and get that first cap and kind of move up to the choke point on this corner here. Pretty standard spot, nothing crazy yet so far from either team. Sidero almost has that window up, Matahuski almost has the Bola up, and looks like they're gonna LSU is gonna use some speed. Try to come at UNI here, a little bit of a reposition from the Tigers, but I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
I would almost like to think that the Tigers are going to go ahead and work that different angle that UNI seems to struggle with, as the window is going to come out in a very interesting spot for Sidero, which yeah, I mean, that's the biggest. I wouldn't put the lamp there just because you have such a small
a huge grab
area. Big grab coming out from UNI. 2 members go down. Roadkill able to pick up 2. And 52% ticked over already for UNI. as Mako's trying to take
Oh
out
no.
Padunda, finally goes down. Of course, does not go quietly, but UNI, very well executed. I love
Yeah, and they
these
still have 4
fat
ults to
grabs.
boot, dude.
Yes,
That's so
that
good.
that's exactly. Now, I would like in this next team fight, Joe, for UNI to utilize maybe 1 or 2, just in my
Yeah,
professional opinion.
yeah. I mean, I think maybe an ult dump could be in order, but you guys got to be careful with that. Okay, here comes a blade from UNI. Nothing to support it. He doesn't need anything. He finds 2 picks. Gets that lamp. Is he gonna find this Zarya here? Unlasting really wants it. Oh, that wasn't Zarya. That was my bad. It's Bap. But he also does end up finding the Zarya anyways. That's pretty funny. UNI
Another
have
team kill for UNI.
Oh, here comes a beat and a bola strike for UNI. And they're able to pick up Blue Jay Cam as Isaac Man, trying to get that touch onto the point. He did, but his team isn't around. The beat and the Kitsune rush as UNI take game 1. Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad there. I thought I could have sworn that that unlasting was going after Zarya, but it was a Baptiste. I gotta
No,
get my
you're
eyes
perfectly
straight.
fine. No, I mean, Unlasting's just playing so well, and I bet this play of the game is that first, like, 3K that he gets off there at the end. It's not. That's unfortunate. But I still like the blades that Unlasting was able to do this game. I still
That's
really
gotta
like
be
the
it.
grabs that we've seen from Roadkill today, and I feel like that's going to be UNI's potential win condition is, again, just cycling through your ultimates, win the ult game. We know that these players are about the same skill level as you. So what factors come into play? Of course, communication and teamwork, and the other thing
Yep.
is utilizing your ults.
Yeah, it's interesting so far. I feel like you and I, both teams' communication have, I'm guessing, is really good because on one hand, we're seeing the Tigers just split up a lot, and you and I have a harder time dealing with that. But on the other side, we're seeing you and I use their ults incredibly carefully and making sure to get as much value as they can out of every single ult.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, and then I was gonna say, so going into game 2 here, we're gonna be looking at hybrid as we said before, and just to say again, it's gonna be Numbani, Kings Row, Midtown, or Hollywood. And it looks like they picked Hollywood, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
which
miss
is
you in that one.
interesting. We haven't seen a Hollywood play yet,
No.
which Hollywood tends to be more of that divey favor map. So we'll probably see maybe a Winston come out. Of course, this is LSU's pick, so maybe they're more comfortable with the dive composition. I know we saw a little bit of Tracer. I know we saw a little bit of Reaper. So I would maybe expect them to play more of a divey comp, but
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, we could just see another Zarya mirror matchup and just maybe uh, maybe a Hazard because LSU banned Hazard. Maybe they might go ahead and pick Hazard this time around. I guess I'm not entirely sure what might be in their thought process behind Hollywood. Do you have feelings about Hollywood?
I think Hollywood is fun for the first point, and then not so fun. Like I guess you could call it streets, but the part where they're going through the old West Town, I don't really particularly care for that part of the map just because the verticality makes it so challenging. Especially when you're first coming out of that gate, if people are posted up in different spots, if you're looking at like an Ashe, a Widowmaker, an Ana, any kind of, or Hanzo, any kind of like snipery character, like I bet Freya would work really well too. Uh, I think that second phase of the map is going to be kind of difficult, and then I think that last phase of the map can be pretty difficult too because the spawn doors are so close to the payload destination, and it is another big choke. I think it could be a little bit difficult. So if we're seeing the Tigers uh, pick this, then I wouldn't be surprised if they are very, very comfortable with those aspects, the more difficult aspects of the map that I just mentioned. And,
Yeah,
yeah, and I was
absolutely.
gonna say, I'm sorry for interrupting. I was going to
Yeah.
say, I wouldn't be surprised if they ban Genji, and they do go ahead and ban Genji. So sorry
Yeah.
on lasting, can't play Genji this game.
Yeah, I mean, but that's totally fine. I mean, Unlasting, of course, has a really good Widow. We've seen Widow come out a couple times, Hanzo as well.
That's
So
true. We've seen the Hanzo.
playing
We've
that
seen the
street
Torb a
phase,
couple of times. I want to
we
see the
have
Torb.
seen the Torb on
This is a
defense.
goated Torb map. I'm telling you, this is a crazy good Torbjorn map.
Yeah, exactly. So I would maybe expect to see a Hanzo come out. So that was kind of my thought process here on what might be good for UNI. I would also be interesting to see Brooke again play Kiri. I would maybe think if I was UNI to maybe ban some type of, I would say, a dive character. I wouldn't say ban Winston because I know we kind of had the conversation last week about it's more valuable to ban like a DPS or support rather than a tank. So I wouldn't ban Winston, but I'd look to ban, maybe Tracer. Freya might be a good
Yeah,
ban
they
too.
were
We
having a
saw
hard
some
time
good.
with Tracer and Freya. You're right.
Yeah, so I would want to maybe do that, but the ban's gonna come out. It's gonna be Ball. We haven't seen a Ball
Okay.
ban. I don't know.
Oh,
Was it really that much of a thorn in UNI's side? I don't know.
they
But
swapped off of it, so maybe you're right. I don't think it was that big of a deal.
yeah,
We'll see.
no, I don't I didn't think it was that big of an issue because at any point in time it just kind of devolved into a Zarya matchup, which that's kind of what we expected, and I'm surprised no one's banning Zarya like in any games that I've seen. So, gonna be
Yep.
interesting to see. But then again, Wrecking Ball is more of a dive comp that you can kind of build around, especially on attack on Hollywood. So maybe that's the situation that you and I was kind of thinking is like, okay, he'll play ball. Maybe we're going to have Roadkill play Orisa. That's literally what I was thinking about as it kind of flashed there on the screen. But maybe that's just the counterplay to the Orisa. But then I'm afraid it's going to go back into a Zarya v Zarya matchup, Joe.
Yep, I completely agree with you. Really quick here, while we have a couple of seconds, if you guys want to support Panther Esports and represent us, make sure to check out our merch link. You can click the merch button or type exclamation point merch. You get to guardianproline.com. There's t-shirts, sweatshirts, and shit. Oh, sorry, and stuff. Also,
Oh
also
no.
check out our socials. You can there's a Twitter, there's Facebook and Discord. I think anybody's welcome to Discord. Got all kinds of games going on all the time, so make sure to join and participate. We'd love to have you. Otherwise, going in here, I think for UNI, we're looking at, okay, I'm going to do UNI's first because they're defending. I think they're not going to go back and swap quite yet. Looking at Roadkill on the Zarya pick again, Brookbear and Mako on the Kiriko and Lucio respectively, and unlasting on that Hanzo we hinted at, and Matahuski on the Tracer. So pretty standard picks for everybody so far, and I've said that UNI wouldn't, but Brookbear did go back and swap to Ana. Looks like for LSU, we're looking at a Winston, like you said, an Ana, a Tracer, a Freya, and a Brigitte. We've not seen a lot of Brigitte in any of these games, so that could be
No, but
interesting.
I do like the Brigitte pick, especially when you're in these tight little choke points, like you've mentioned, Joe. Just a really good crowd controller. Just does a really good job with that the whip ability. And
Whoa.
Batahuski though on the Tracer, trying to dance around, but already Madunda gonna go ahead try and zone out off the top. But here we go. Blue Jay Camp back on the Freya again. Something that maybe you and I might think the ban going on into further sets, depending on how Blue Jay Camp can get some value.
Oh! Winston got exploded by members of Roadkill and members of UNI. Meanwhile, Mako's getting exploded by Blue Jay Cam, the two-piece from the Freya of LSU. Brookbear going to be getting some revenge onto the Tracer, but Darrow is going to pick them off on last day. And Matt, who are smart on this point right now, 2v2, trying to do a 2v3 as Winston shows back up, but it's not enough as Blue Jay Cam is just cleaning up everybody on UNI right now.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's the biggest thing is Blue Jay Cam with the verticality of not only this first point but Streets phase, and on that third phase, the utility that Freya has is just so keyed in for a map like Hollywood, and we saw it right there. You get the two-piece in the little tight spaces, you get the long pokey damage and verticality. Really great job.
Oh, Padunda with the Blue Jays. Freya ultimate going to be finding a pick onto Mako there. And Blue Jay, just the beatdown doesn't stop as Roadkill is next.
Yeah,
Matahuski and Shawnee in a 1v1 here. Sorry about that. And Matahuski comes out on top. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, Roadkill going to go ahead, swap to the Hazard, which I feel like is a really good counter into this composition. Of course, you get, again, it's more about crowd control at this point. As Elastin able to get a headshot on Isaac, man. Really great job.
For that 2-piece action. Yeah, I gotta say, UNI have to do something about this Freya, or just be more careful. Like, I don't really know what to do. And I want to say, like, I feel like some of my best games of Freya have been on this map. So, it's a very, very good map for Freya. I think maybe in the other games, UNI might want to ban Freya on this map. But I don't know. Here comes the Winston getting on top of Roadkill on this roof.
Yeah, UNI's going to really need to communicate that and kind of focus down to Winston, Padunda, if they want to go ahead and get the map. But here comes the Dragon out for Unlasting. Maybe he's zoning out, doesn't get any kills from it. And Padunda able to go ahead, take this top section. Gonna dive onto Unlasting. Oh, really nice purple coming out from Isaac, man. That was a really good
I don't even know where he was. Oh, he must have been on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think UNI might have to, yeah, I was about to say have a Reaper pick from Unlasting here. I think that's pretty good to help counter the monkey, but you know, LSU's got 3 ults and almost the boldest strike ready to work with here as the cart is coming in. UNI have to do something. Maybe use a beat, maybe use a Kitsune rush. I'd say maybe a Kitsune rush to try to retake here, like right now. Here it is. And they're also going to bring the rain.
Yeah, and Sidero going to go ahead, pop rally as well on point. So a lot of ultimates being used right now. And so far, UNI is going to have the player advantage as Mako will finally beat out. And
that's a good beat.
Yeah, that was a really good beat. And I feel like that just adds value. And if you can get the pick on Shanzi, you do.
So far, Matahuski kind of showing a little bit of a diffy in the Tracer department so far this game. I'm just saying, Matahuski looking pretty good, but he's got that pulse bomb up. Maybe looking for a pulse here. There it is. It is no good. As again on the roof here, Padunda with the bubble. Okay, Matahuski, that wasn't finished yet.
He was in the background. Did you notice that? He was in the back line.
I knew that he was in there for the pulse bomb, but I didn't know he stayed. UNI do pick up 2 there, and they are up 4 to. It was up 4 to 3, but now everybody's gonna be respawned. It's gonna be a 5v5 again. Isaac Man does have the nano ready to use. A wonderful see on the Winston. I don't know. Freya also has the Freya ult ready to use, the Bola strike. UNI have no ults ready to use quite yet. Unlasting's Death Blossom's coming up, but Death Blossom alone is not the most powerful ultimate.
No, and the other thing to note too is that here comes Padunda. Gonna go ahead, dive in, take out Mako, so UNI down a support. Gonna have to get back, and Matahuski goes down as well. Unfortunate as 110 passes away onto the board, and Padunda again.
Padunda,
he's crazy with it. And again, it's just coming down to a really good, just kind of team play. Like, that's exactly what you want to do if you're this LSU comp, is that you let the monkey dive in, you throw bio grenade, whoever gets purpled, that's who you focus fire first. And of course, you got Shanzi in the background, able to go ahead, get the poke fire damage, so you're able to then pick your target on who you want to dive and bio grenade, so you get a ton of information from that. Blue Jay Cam with the poke, Sidero for the flankers. Really wonderful composition from this LSU Tigers with 2 minutes left to play.
Yeah, LSU is playing really well. I just want to point out Padunda is doing a very great job with the sniper monkey, but here comes Roadkill's ult. Going to be buying some space for UNI. Huge value. They pick up 2, but the Bola strike coming out from Blue Jay Cam. Not going to get a ton of value as it is a 5v3 in favor of UNI here for this cart. Winston going to be leaping out, doing his best to survive. I think he might get out, but Matahuski really wants to stop him. Going to be diving through. Ooh, maybe a little deep with the stick on to the Ana. Trade 1 for 1 there. Not the worst, not the best, but it is all right. It's a 4v4 here.
I still feel like you and I kind of got a little value there. You were able to utilize one ultimate, which is exactly what you need to do. If you're UNI, you want to get the death by 1,000 paper cuts, get the stagger play. As Rally comes out, Zadero able to get to Shutter.
Oof.
As Unlasting tried to get the Death Blossom on point, didn't find any value and died from it. Mako though, but now Padunda in the back line with the Rage. Able to find one, and he's trying to create space for his team with less than a minute to play, trying to get down Roadkill. Roadkill finally gets taken out as a lane is cleared for this LSU squad, making the home stretch.
Yep, and unfortunately, Unlasting does not have that Death Blossom to save the game here, and he is going to go down. Here comes a beat coming out from Mako to try to help people contest and touch here. But right now, it is just every man for himself kind of thing. As he ends up going down, the Nano coming out onto the Winston yet again. Roadkill doing his best to tank members of LSU, but it's not enough as Brookbear and Matahuski get picked off, and there is no one left to support him. He gets pushed off.
Yeah, unfortunate situation there for UNI, but I just feel like LSU did a really good job with their composition. They decided to play dive, and they went ahead and picked their target, Bio Grenade, Focus Fire, and it's game over. And UNI just had the constant stream of eliminations that they just couldn't keep up with. And I feel like ult usage wasn't too terrible that matchup. However, I would like to see more from UNI, especially I feel like they were a little bit too reactionary with their ult selection.
Yeah.
So maybe UNI was kind of just playing one step behind LSU, thus led to the full push.
Yeah, I think UNI maybe should be a little bit more careful of when they use their ults. I think Mako was looking really good with the Lucio ults, but I just like, for instance, Unlasting's Death Blossom at the end there during the Brigitte ult is so risky because she can just turn around and right click and left click you to hit you with the shield bash and just completely stop it, and that's what we saw. So you end up getting like no value and you just kill yourself. So
yeah, and
so
like I
kind
of expect to see, yeah, definitely got to be careful. As what I expect to see here again, no changes from this LSU squad, and UNI still repping the same as well. So hopefully UNI can force something here as they will now start their attack.
Yep, we see Blue Jay Cam on the Hanzo this time. A little bit of an arrow person on the ground instead of flying around in the air. Let's see though, Unlasting's got a pretty clean Hanzo, so.
Yeah, I would love to see this Hanzo v Hanzo matchup. As Padunda trying to take that top space away from UNI. Of course, that's what they initiated with when they attacked, was taking that high ground. UNI going to go ahead and do the same thing here as Matahuski's going to try and get into the back line, and here comes Roadkill. He's going to be bio-grenaded. UNI's going to go ahead start to get the ticks over, but Matahuski finally goes down. UNI play into the wins. However, they get a third ticks over. But Blue Jay Cam able to go ahead, pop off, take a couple members of UNI out. And UNI got one tick. So
yeah,
decent.
They got one pick. That's good, and you know that means it won't go all the way back down to 0. So they got that to look forward to. But I think that push was a little bit cooked as soon as the Ana missed her sleep. Everybody dived her, but she still did not go down all the way.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how UNI is going to attack this here with Matahuski on the Tracer. Maybe expect to see that work around, but here we go. D.Va! D.Va mains rejoice!
You're excited.
I'm so excited, man. Defense Matrix into... yeah, of course you have to deal with the Winston primary fire, but still, you get the bio grenades, you just eat it all up, and you just tank. So really good pick here, I believe. It's always a good pick for D.Va, as he's going to go ahead and get in the back line.
Oh, we got to be picking off these supports.
Oh, and unfortunate as 2 players of UNI go down. And that's the worst case scenario for UNI.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel
like,
yeah.
We keep seeing those dives so deep on the supports, but they keep getting to like 1 HP and not actually dying. And I think it's turning out pretty poorly for UNI when that happens. I like the teamwork and communication, but we gotta follow through on those, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like UNI kind of is like halfway to a very successful dive. It's just you need to coordinate a little bit better when you're calling out diving the squishy or something like that. Because like you mentioned, Joe, they get down to 1 HP. And when you're diving like that, you either got to take space or, you know,
Huge ult.
oh, really nice ult from Blue Jay Cam, able to go ahead and pick up 2 members of UNI. However, Sidero goes down, so it's an even 2v2 fight on point, but just like that, 2 more members of UNI go down. Absolutely nasty DPS play from Blue Jay Cam and Shanzi.
Yeah, that was an incredible Hanzo ult from the Blue Jay Cam into some cheeky picks and surviving the rest of that fight. Really nice job. Really nice stuff from LSU. And UNI are having a hard time dealing with it. They're down to 45 seconds, now 40 seconds left to finish capping this point here. And they still have to get through the rest of the map.
Yeah.
Especially considering LSU has extra time.
Yeah, UNI, 30 seconds left to play. Last time we saw this LSU squad kind of cut through the first point like a knife in hot butter. So here comes Diva Bomb out, and you're gonna go ahead, put Padunda with the bio boost, and Mako able to go ahead, right click, Isaac Man. Matahuski able to take out Blue Jay Cam. However, the rage now for Padunda trying to keep that space going. Overtime will tick over, as you still have to deal with this LSU squad. They're trickling back in. Diva's out of mech for UNI. Matahuski on the Reaper trying to zone out as Roadkill finally gets killed out of the baby Diva. Brooks Bear trying to stay alive. Pops Kitsune Rush. How about Sidero picks up 2? UNI falls 1 by 1 in an unfortunate situation as LSU gets their first team kill of the series, and they will go ahead and take map 2.
Yeah, that's devastating for UNI. They were able to execute pretty well on most of the plays that game, and members of Louisiana got down to like 1 HP all the time. Like on the stairs the first time it was the Ana, then it was the Brigade, then it was the Tracer on the point at the very end there. It's like I don't know what UNI's got to do to be able to secure these kills, but they have to, because otherwise they are not going to win. LSU are too keen to just throw something when somebody gets down to 1 HP like that. It's very interesting how sort of all members show up out of the woodwork like bugs to help their friend. I mean, at the end there, it was just the Tracer, and I think Winston was there. I don't know who the other guy was, but UNI couldn't pick up that Tracer, and that Tracer was able to contest, and that's how UNI was not able to get that point there.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess a big shout out from the LSU side of things. Their attack was, in my opinion, just absolutely flawless, just with how well they were able to utilize their team composition with the dive with Winston, with Padunda. Of course, you have the Ana Bio Grenade from Isaac Man. I would be really interesting to see what the assists and the kills for for their support players are, because I would expect it to be very high. I feel like they were kind of really utilizing their resources very well and just kind of playing the support role like a rock. And I feel like that might be another situation that UNI might not find themselves in is, you know, big shout out to Brooks Bear and Mako, but I feel like that Ana play that we saw on that attack, we didn't see as much bio grenade play as maybe you would like to see. So something that you could definitely work on as you gear up for the playoffs, but something that is lacking right now.
Yeah, I agree. So coming into game 3 here, we are 1-1, and we are looking at Flashpoint. The choices were New Junk City or Saravasa. We're gonna go to Saravasa, and I didn't see who the bans were.
I was unfortunately monologuing. So it is going to be Zarya and Tracer. So LSU will ban Zarya, which I like that pick for LSU, and then UNI gonna ban the Tracer. So
I think UNI, I don't know about the Tracer ban.
I
maybe a Freya ban.
With that. I would agree with
maybe
the Freya ban.
a Freya ban is in order. If not this game, then definitely next game. But oh no, somebody call I don't know, a geologist, because I'm seeing a venture pick on LSU, and I
Oh,
know that UNI cannot deal with ventures. There's several
yeah,
games so far this season I've seen a venture, and they just could not deal with it. And I don't blame
yeah.
them. That's a really hard character to deal with, but it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that you're kind of playing into the ball, which I feel like maybe is going to be more into UNI's favor. But the interesting thing to note here, roadkill on the Orisa, which I would more or less like to see a Ramatra here. But we've seen value from Orisa for roadkill on Servasa. So hopefully we can see that continued success as the series tied 1-1.
Padunda's back on this ball here. I think you're gonna get a lot of value out of ball on a game mode like Flashpoint. A lot of weird routes that you can take as ball to get away and get out of danger. A lot of weird angles to come at the enemy team from, but on lasting, finding a cheeky little pick. Sorry, Matahuski finding a cheeky little pick on the Blue Jay cam. I'm sorry about that. I kind of lost my mind a second there.
You're perfectly fine. I mean, I see Genji, I instantly think it's unlasting, so no problem there. But UNI able to go ahead, get the first couple ticks, able to go ahead, pick up the Sojourn. Shanzi goes down, and
Yeah, Matahuski's Cassidy, not to be messed with.
no, absolutely not. Definitely very big Cassidy fan for Matahuski. And the other thing to note too, Joe, is with Flashpoint, unlike Control, these points actually tick up a whole lot quicker. So already 35% done in a way for UNI.
You're right. I normally point that out, but I forgot to this time. Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome, because last time I'm usually the one who's calling out the map picks and asking for your opinion. We're swapping roles today, man. You're also doing a great job play-by-playing.
Oh, thank you. Even to keep going with that, I can. Roadkill is going to be having his Terror Surge up. He looks like he wants to use it. He's going to be charging in. Here he uses it. He pulls 3 members of LSU in, but picks up 2, both supports. It's going to be huge for UNI. Having those supports down makes the fight a whole lot easier to win, but you got to be careful of this ball. Look at him. He's constantly up in UNI's grill and is messing with them.
Yeah, as UNI does a great job at, of course, Roadkill utilizing the ultimates. You still got 2 in your back pocket. You're going to have 2 ready up in a moment. Of course, there's going to be 4 for LSU as well. So I feel like this next team fight is going to be kind of an ult dump. If LSU's going to contest, they do.
2 ults by LSU. It's going to be Padunda's Wrecking Ball ult and Shawnee's Overclock, but not a huge amount of value as Matahuski just dead eyes and keeps most people off the point. UNI are going to get that first point here, but it's a crazy fight in the streets on the way to next point. Blue Jay Cam has had enough. Picks up 2 members of UNI. He's going to be looking for a third with the rest of his team here. He spots out Mako. Kind of caught on the side here with that Wuyong. You got to start slip sliding away on your water staff, Mako, and he's not able to make it out. Padunda finding that last pick on the roadkill there.
Yeah, that last team fight is exactly how this whole entire series has gone. UNI does a great job at utilizing ults, but however, LSU does a great job at separating and taking out members of UNI one by one. So, of course, that stagger is going to play in their favor as they go ahead and take the first ticks on the second point.
Yeah, and I kind of like, I don't know, okay, so Kitsune Rush coming out from Brook Bear. Both teams Kitsune Rush, everybody fighting on point. Here comes a Blade from Unlasting, a Blade from Blue Jay Camp. Shing, 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 as many characters go down. It's going to be turning into a 3v2 in favor of UNI on the point here, as Isaac, man, and Padunda doing their best to survive. Just going to go ahead and skate and roll away. Crazy fight that just broke out.
I'm absolutely speechless by your play-by-play, man. It's amazing because exactly what I was kind of thinking what was going to happen is we were going to go ahead and initiate with an ult. It's just going to turn into an ult dump, and of course Roadkill has more HP, I believe, has a little bit more survivability with that hardened ability. So UNI doing a great job at sort of kind of just outlasting the Blades, essentially, is what it boiled down to. And here we go now, Roadkill trying to zone out.
Oh, here comes the Terror Surge from Roadkill. What are you saying, Bill? Oh. Alright.
As Roadkill gonna go ahead, try and poke down Padunda. And 75% ticked over for UNI.
An area denial coming out from Padunda. Gonna be directly on that point, and members of LSU are gonna notice this. try to take some space up here as the cap goes over to LSU. It is 90% to 50% here. UNI got to clutch it up really fast, but they're not able to. They get picked off, and I don't know if they're going to be able to make it in time, Hunter, to retake this here. They might be able to contest if they switch to a ball. We've seen Roadkill do it in the past, but I don't think he's going to. I don't think he needs to. I think that UNI could theoretically give this point for the rest of the game. I don't know.
Yeah, I would also be weary about kind of the ult charge situation
Yeah, you're
that
right.
UNI finds themselves in. Of course, Padunda with ball doing a really great job at kind of getting that information, making the call outs as
Overclock
Chauncey-
coming out from Shawnee. Gonna be trying to buy some space, some time for his team. It's not that great, but Blue Jay Cam and Padunda gonna be doing most of the heavy lifting here, finding 2 members of UNI. A third, finally, Shawnee finding a pick there. Unfortunately, Roadkill is gonna go in and try to do something, but it is too little too late. And Padunda slammed Mako to kill him there. R.I.P.
Yeah, but I mean, at least that engage was definitely valuable for UNI. Of course, we were kind of talking about how they were probably going to give up the point. You forced Shanzi to overclock, so you are kind of looking at a kind of neutral, maybe positive team fight for the ults for UNI. So definitely something to think about here as this next point is going to unlock.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think, okay, ton of ults ready, a ton of ults gonna be used, a Blade and a Kitsune Rush and oh my god, a lot of Qs being pressed. Everybody getting really low, nobody dying quite yet. Roadkill getting onto the edge there, but Sidero is gonna be the first to fall. Then it's Shawnee, UNI up 2 members right now, up 3 members as members of LSU fall left and right. Only Matahuski goes down for this cap. UNI used the Terra Surge, they used the Wuyong ult, and LSU used a Genji Blade and a Kitsune Rush. So UNI, I think, looking a little bit better in terms of ultimate economy here. I don't know, Hunter, that Wrecking Ball ult has been a little bit annoying for UNI to deal with so far this series. We'll see how it continues to go. That Blade is going to get completely countered by Isaac Man's beat. Here comes UNI's Blade, and there is that beat that I said would counter it. The Wrecking Ball ult from above was able to make a lot of space. Isaac Man putting Unlasting in his place as he gets Soundwave. Meanwhile, Shawnee gonna be getting a cheeky little pick onto Mako, and the rest of the backline, Blue Jay Cam gonna be swinging in there and finishing him up, and Brook Bear gonna be the last one to go down there. So UNI having a little bit of a hard time dealing with ball right now. Maybe we see a Sombra pick come out. We've seen it in previous weeks, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would fully expect to see maybe a Sombra, some kind of just flanker, or not even a flanker, but someone to take out Padunda on the ball as he's going to go ahead, pile drive down. And Matahuski, unfortunately, going to go down too. Another thing to note, Joe, is Shanzi on the Sojourn. Definitely the issue that UNI has, because we saw in that last kind of team fight, Shanzi just doing a really great job at just getting the targeted fire on. You can tell that whatever the call out is, Shanzi's looking at him.
Yep, and I think I can tell that Roadkill really wants to go in right now, but we're going to see Shawnee use their overclock. Here comes a Terra Surge from Roadkill. Not going to be finding too much value, just making space, but Roadkill gets obliterated. Rookbear Kitsune rushes, but gets obliterated. So does Mako, so does Matahuski. Right now it's just Unlasting on the point, going to be trying to survive, but it's not enough as the second point goes over to Louisiana here. UNI got to lock it in.
Absolutely. I feel like UNI's got to play together. They're kind of spaced out right now because I feel like they have a sense of urgency to get to the point. I would really like to see Roadkill swap off to ideally a Zarya, maybe a Hazard, something to build a wall against this really great play of Padunda.
Yeah, and LSU using a couple ults again. We see that they do like to use at least 2 ults at a time, as Sidero uses the Kitsune Rush and the Wrecking Ball uses the Mines, but UNI are just going to get pushed off here. They lose Mako. I think they lost somebody else a second ago, so they are just looking to regroup and rearm before retake here. They do catch the ball out a little bit, but Padunda is just such a rat. We can't deal with him.
That's another good point that I feel like UNI maybe needs to think about here is Mako is still holding on to his Tidal Blast, and you have Unlasting that you could probably pair that up well with. Dash, Blade, Tidal Blast. I feel like that would be a good combo for UNI to break out here. So maybe
This
that
guy
could be
is a
some
beast on the
thought.
ball, by the way. I need to point that out. He is crazy.
I guess it's understandable now why UNI banned ball. As the
Yeah, I
blade
agree. Here's a
comes
blade
out
from
for
Blue
Blue
Jay
Jay
Cam. Roadkill going to be doing their best to make some space. The Mako Tidal Blast coming out. No value as members of LSU just kind of run away. UNI have 60% ticked over to LSU. They got to do something. They got to make it happen now, but they can't as Brook Bear, as Mako goes down. It looks like Roadkill is fighting 1v4 right now, and there's nothing that they could do as Roadkill also goes down. Time
Yeah,
is running out.
we need a counter for Padunda here if we're you and I talking through these deaths here. It's basically initiation for Padunda, and after that it's cleanup from UNI. As Blade
Okay,
comes
a
out from
lasting
UNI.
blade. Oh, it's not enough. He touched. Members of UNI are able to come here. Matahuski overclocking, not going to find any pick. Brook Bear going to go in and die to that ball. And Padunda is crazy this game. So is Blue Jay Cam on the Genji, but Padunda is just looking so good in this game 3 as it goes over to Louisiana.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I noticed that round is, of course, UNI did a really good job at cycling ultimates. However, it was not enough when you're in that middle of the team fight. You had to deal with the Padunda initiation, and of course, right here, play of the game, Shawnee just doing a really good job at just putting DPS down range, doing a really great job at kind of that communication. You could tell whenever a player on UNI's side got down to half health, they would whip right to it because I'm sure this LSU squad is communicating very well. So their team composition and their team play is absolutely phenomenal, Joe. And going into game 4, I would expect that to continue.
Yep, I 100% agree with everything that you said. I think UNI really need to. I don't know what they need to exactly what they need to do, but they do need to lock in. They were looking good so far, but they did look pretty shaky towards the end of that game. Um, it's tough. That ball, when you're against a good ball player, it really changes the pace of the game. It turns into it turns into not your game anymore. It's the ball's game.
Yes.
Going into game 4 here, we're looking at push, which can go either way for UNI. We've seen them do some goofy things on push, but we've seen them do some good things on push too. So I don't know how it's going to go, but we're looking at Coliseo, Esperanza, and New Queen Street. Hunter, what do you want for the maps?
Biggest thing that I would pick here if I was you and I would pick Coliseo just because it's your comfort pick. Any other map, in my opinion, you're kind of favoring that dive comp kind of situation, of course. That more leans into favor of Esperanza for that dive comp. New Queen Street is more of like that pseudo brawl type, but you don't want to deal with another Freya situation. So I feel like you and I doing a great job here getting Coliseo just because you have that option for the sniper, especially that first initial tack that you can utilize like maybe a Widow or a Hanzo in that situation. So I would fully expect to see UNI to come out with Azaria in
Yeah,
this situation. I respect that Roadkill had Orisa to start off with, but after that first point, I would almost want to see a swap because Padunda was doing so well on that Wrecking Ball. I would expect Padunda to pick Wrecking Ball again. But
yeah.
as
This
we
is a
see,
this
oh, go ahead.
crazy good mode for Wrecking Ball, but especially in my opinion, Coliseo very good for Wrecking Ball. We're gonna see a Reaper and a Winston ban from a Reaper ban from Louisiana and a Winston ban from UNI. So really interesting because I also think Freya could be a pretty good man for this map.
Yeah, I do like the Winston ban here, of course, Padunda. This is more of a divey kind of map, especially when you get to the wings of that first initial push. I feel like you and I saw or
Oh,
recognized as we go ahead and get back out of game. Uh, I feel like you and I kind of recognized the issue from Hollywood during that streets phase of the issue with Winston. So I feel like maybe that's the play here. But here we go. Coliseo Joe, what do you think we're gonna see?
I think tanks aren't really going to change much. I think we're still going to see Zarya for UNI. I think we're going to see the Wrecking Ball for Louisiana. I think maybe for DPS we might see Widowmaker come out. We've seen Widowmaker for UNI on this map before, and we've seen it for other teams on this map before. I mean, I want to see Torbjorn. I think Torbjorn's actually
Yeah.
kind of good on this map. Maybe then for supports, I think we're gonna see a Kiriko again. We've seen Kiriko all the time. Maybe a Juno, maybe a Lucio, maybe a Wooyoung, maybe even an Ana. I don't know, but it looks like LSU are gonna be favoring that Kiriko and Brigitte again, and then UNI might be favoring the Lucio and Kiriko.
Yeah, absolutely. As we go ahead and start seeing some compositions come out, of course, Padunda on ball. Then we're going to see Isaac Man, Kiriko, Shanzi back on the Sojourn, Blue J-Cam on the Genji, and then Sidero rounding out the LSU squad with the Brigitte. UNI is going to have Roadkill on Zarya, Brookbear on the Kiriko, Mako on the Lucio, and last team, Cassidy and Matahuski on the Sombra. Thank you.
Yep, finally we see a ball counter come out. We see Padunda already ticked up to 16% on that, 17% on that Wrecking Ball ult. You and I have had such a hard time dealing with this series. Even with Roadkill stepping up here and making some space for the team, you just gotta be so careful of overextending and splitting up too much because Padunda is just gonna destroy you.
Absolutely. Here comes the pile driver for Padunda, and he's gonna get taken out. Roadkill, able to go ahead, pick up the kill, and that's going to be an assist. All good jobs. High fives all around for UNI, able to go ahead and get that kill confirmed. And 3 members already down for this LSU Tigers squad.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Unlasting did end up going down there to Blue Jay Cam's Genji, but it's okay because Blue Jay Cam is just going to go ahead and swap. It's an interesting swap. You're playing against a Cassidy and a Sombra when you're Tracer. I think that's interesting. I don't know about that one.
Oh, Matahuski off screen is going to get picked off by Padunda. So something to think about here as Mako goes down and Brookbear goes down. So the interesting thing about Flashpoint is that if you want to go ahead and equalize here. Push. Sorry, excuse me.
Yep.
For push, you got to win the first 2 team fights. Or you got to win the first team fight, and then the opposing team has to win the next 2 just to equalize here. So UNI does have another opportunity here to kind of retake the lead with the lead still in that situation. So maybe UNI can come back here, but it's going to come down to initiating against Padunda.
Yeah, Padunda is just crazy. I think this guy is a ball player. I've seen a couple different ball skins from him. I like his B-ball skin right now, little honeycomb guy. But he's rolling around. Blue Jay Cam, meanwhile, in the backline, ends up finding a little bit of a trade onto Matahuski there, turning it into a 5v4 in favor of LSU, but Unlasting with the drop shot, Deadeye onto Shawnee. Gonna be tying it up. That's another pick onto the other DPS. But here comes the Wrecking Ball ultimate. Gonna be buying space, hopefully for Sidero to get out, but not enough as that Brig goes down, and now the Kiriko goes down, and it's just the ball left standing again.
Yeah, another good thing to note too is Blue Jay Cam used the pulse bomb, didn't find any value from that as well. So UNI looking pretty strong in the ult economy side of things, and this is exactly what you need. You need the DPS downrange, you need to negate Padunda, and I feel like UNI is doing a great job here as they go ahead and push it 45 meters.
Yeah, they do have the lead right now, so even if they lose this fight, they gotta be feeling pretty good about that. But here comes a lot of ults coming out. A Kitsune Rush coming up for LSU, a big grab coming out from Roadkill, but that overclock for LSU is keeping members of UNI in the spawn. Unfortunately, they are dead, is what I mean by that.
Unfortunate situation that UNI finds themselves in. Of course, you still win the ult economy there. A lot of ultimates being committed.
What was
LSU.
Mako up to? I think that would have been a really good beat from Lucio.
Yeah, he wasn't there with the team fight, I believe, so I would look to see maybe that come here.
EMP coming out.
3 people are caught in the EMP. Mako gonna go ahead and pick up Sidero. Blue Jay Cam in the backline taking out Brooks Bear, and Matahuski again just kind of fighting from the side, able to take out Isaac Man, goes invisible and able to escape.
Oh,
but Blue Jay Cam
a really scrappy game, Hunter. Yeah. Back and forth. It feels like a team deathmatch that I'm watching. As both teams, everybody's just kind of going in. Everybody's just kind of fighting and dying. I blame the fact that a Wrecking Ball is in the game. I think it's because of that. I don't know. But UNI have got 3 ults to work with here compared to the 2 ults of LSU. The stick almost timed that roll perfectly on Lasting to survive that. But here comes the Brigitte ult and the beat coming out from Mako. So both supports are support from each team ulting there. As everybody's just still fighting. It's still team deathmatch. Things seem to be stabilizing a little bit onto this payload here, or the push bot. Oh, Matahuski going down on that Sombra. Deadeye coming out.
Yeah, and last scene, speaking
Spike
of
space.
team deathmatch, trying to pick up a couple more kills there.
Okay,
I
thought he canceled it. Okay.
Yeah, and UNI still has it pushed by 1 whole meter, which is very important to note, as Unlasting unfortunately going to go down.
Ooh,
but a nice
2-man,
grab.
3-man grab, very good from
100%
Roadkill.
charge.
Yeah, it just vaporizes them. He's going to be trying to find a pick on this Tracer or the ball, but they are so annoying. They're so ratty, constantly dipping in and out of the fight, going off weird angles. Oh, is Tracer going to find the pick on Matahuski here? Not quite sure. As Matahuski blinks away with the translocator, now it is in Matahuski's favor. This little 1v1. Okay, Blue Jay Cam finally going down to Unlasting Scarcity there.
Yeah, hopefully these teams start focusing on the robot, which is kind of the whole point of push.
Hey, what do you know? You're just a caster.
What do I know? I haven't played in a while.
Kitsune Rush coming out from Brookbear, and an Overclock coming out from Shawnee. Going to be finding a pick onto Mako there. Finding a pick onto Unlasting. It's going to be turning into a 5v3 in favor of LSU. Now it's a 4v3. Oh my god, everybody on UNI is dead. Sent back to the spawn again, but because it's Push Hunter, like you said, they got to win another team fight here. I think UNI have time to get back. At least get a touch.
They should at least be able to touch, and you got EMP from Matahuski that I would almost want to engage with, or at least initiate some sort of team fight here soon.
Oh god!
Matahuski unfortunately goes down. Blue Jay Cam just coming out of nowhere.
A little bit of a Halloween jump scare there from that Tracer on LSU. Okay, so unfortunately UNI lose the lead right here as they are running out of time. 3 minutes left in the game. A lot of fighting going on there. Here goes the rally for LSU. Members of UNI are doing the rest to maybe survive and get away. Mako going to be trying to skate that pole, but unfortunately he does end up going down to that Blue Jay Cam Tracer. But finally, Kiriko dies, so Unlasting.
Yeah,
a little bit of a cocky play from Isaac Man there, I can't lie.
Yeah. The one thing that I kind of want to note here is as EMP comes out, just the really good Sidero play here on the Brigitte, just kind of always being there at the front line and being that extra support that either Shawnee or Padunda need kind of in that moment. So big shout out to Sidero there on the Brigitte.
Yeah, and you and I got to do something soon, Hunter, because the longer that LSU keeps pushing this bot at them, the more team fights they have to win to be able to start pushing again. But an interesting grab coming out, not quite where he wanted it to, but still finds 2 members of LSU. Roadkill getting down. It's a really low, but a great beat coming out from Mako and a great Kitsune Rush coming out from Isaac. Oh, Roadkill's getting so low, and he does end up going down. Meanwhile, Shawnee is going to be laying down the supporting fire for Blue Jay Cam to finish off 2 members of UNI. As UNI, things are looking rough here, Hunter. When this push bot gets to the end, UNI will lose this series tonight. So they gotta lock it in.
Yeah, they got to lock it in, and right now they're just kind of playing a little bit too tense. Of course, we saw 2 ultimates come out from UNI and not a lot of utilization. The thing that you want to pair with Grav is just absolute DPS onto that single point of target, and UNI was not doing that.
Kitsune Rush coming out for UNI here from Brookbear, and another rally coming out from Sidero. All game with the rallies. Remember, Unlasting does find Sidero, but does get picked off by Padunda. And Blue Jay Cam does get the pulse bomb onto Mako, and Matahuski finds his way into a mine from that wrecking ball, and things are looking for rough for UNI as Brookbear goes down. It's just Roadkill right now at 1 HP. He's gonna go down. Mako is back from the respawn. I don't know what they're gonna be able to do here with the Unlasting Symmetra. They go down too, and so does Mako. Brookbear's back. I don't know if they're gonna be able to touch. Matahuski is also back on the point, but there goes Mako. There goes Matahuski.
It's just a really good kind of staggering play, and it all comes back down to
Yeah.
this Badunda gameplay and Shawnee just being able to complement
Oh
the
man.
dive. Now, of course, we see on last scene, go ahead, swap to the Symmetra, so you got some turrets to kind of deal with, but I don't
Big
think it's going to
grab.
be enough.
It's enough for UNI to retake here. They certainly don't have enough time to get all the way to the end without a team fight, and it's going to be really tough here. UNI have to always hunt. Hunter. They if they step off this bot here in the next couple of seconds, they are going to lose. So that is going to be something that's really stressing them out, especially against a character like Wrecking Ball who can knock people away. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, interesting to see that Matahuski there on the edge going to go ahead and
Whoa.
Padunda trying to look at something sneaky here as Pile Driver comes out. And here comes the Symmetra, going to be able to get some sustain here as Kitsune Rush now comes out for Isaac Man. Overtime finally clicks over. Mako's going to go ahead and beat. And UNI is going to need to stay on that robot if they want a chance to go ahead and push it the distance. But will they
Good
be able
Suzu.
to?
That Suzu saved Brookbear from certain death, but oh my god, they're cut off from the team with the bombs. Brookbear goes down, Matahuski's going down, Roadkill's going down. This looks like the end for UNI as Mako tries to skate away and lands on a bomb. It's just unlasting. Symmetra overtime goes down, and Louisiana are going to win week 6.
Yeah, just unfortunate kind of circumstances that UNI finds themselves in. You have no counter to Padunda, even though you play the Cassidy Sombra into it, which is like the anti-ball kind of composition, and still Padunda has free reign. And whenever you try to reign around Padunda, you have Shawnee right there on the Sombra, which in my opinion was maybe the win condition here, because you just have tons of DPS just being thrown at your face, and unfortunately UNI just could not counter this really well comped LSU team.
Yep, unfortunately for UNI, they are going to get taken out here. And they are going to have to, maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit this next week, think about some things, maybe discuss what to do against a ball like that.
Absolutely. And
Otherwise,
another
huh?
thing too to note is that LSU continues their game 4 kind of either win or loss scenario. So maybe you could have even said, in game 3, once you and I kind of lost that, it, or game 3, uh, people would have maybe put money on LSU because they again have yet to go do a game 5.
Yeah. So really good, some really good stuff from UNI this week. Some not so good stuff, but I mean, like, what can you do? Anyways, if you guys like Panther Esports and want to support us, please type !donate or !merch and click those links. We are running a ambitious fundraiser right now, and we're on a mission to raise $10,000 for 6 new PCs. I believe it is like a matching thing. So if you donate a
Yes.
dollar, another dollar is donated. So do make sure to donate. Every dollar helps make a dream come true. PCs can be expensive and stuff, so
Yeah,
those donations
absolutely.
help. But if you don't want to do it that way, although we would prefer that way, you can also check out our merch link with that !merch, or go to guardianproline.com, and you'll see that we got the t-shirts, we got jerseys, you can customize them, we got beanies, and we got sweatshirts and stuff. But other than that, that's all I got. Thanks for everybody coming out here
Yes.
tonight.
So next week, looks like UNI is going to play their last matchup before they head into the playoffs. Playoff situation is going to look pretty interesting here, as I'm pretty sure UNI is guaranteed a spot because it's by rank in the PCL, and of course UNI. Typically, what you see is like a rank 3 East, and then a rank 3 Central, and then the top 4 of each of those divisions in ranked 3 would move on to play in a single elimination 8-man bracket. Interesting thing to note here, UNI Purple is the only kind of block that is in ranked 2. So UNI probably going to be guaranteed a playoff spot, probably. I don't know about the situation. Maybe the top 4 go and play and they just have the round of 8 be a bye week potentially. However, UNI still has one more match to play. They're going to play against Cal State San Bernardino. Of course, that matchup is going to be interesting as they are currently 3-2, yet to play their match tonight. Tomorrow, we are going to probably have UNI Valorant. Hopefully, get to see the Valorant team play against Aurora University. So if we can see you Panther fans be there, support the Cats as they head into the playoff season, that would be amazing. So any other final thoughts here, Joe?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. Thank you for casting, and thank you, Bill, for doing production. Thanks to everybody communicating in chat. Sorry if we are not able to respond to you right away. There is a delay, and also I'm looking at the game. So sorry about that. But otherwise, I'll catch you guys next week.
And like always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
Bracket, but I have high hopes for these guys. Colin goes to the backboard, double touch, and he gets it.
He's got sight and a good pick. Another good pick. And another. He's going crazy with it.
Oh! That was disgusting.